Hello, welcome back to the Lick of the Week videos. This is a new topic that I'm going to cover over the next few weeks if I get a chance to make the videos. Talking about a more in-depth look at associating chords that you're using to play songs on the fingerboard. I know in some of the previous Lick of the Week videos I've shown you what I call the chord roadmap, where you can go from the F, the D to the bar, back to the F. And there's a certain number of frets between each inversion of the chord that allows you to find all the G's, all the C's, all the F's, whatever major chord you need. And then by converting each shape into a minor version or a seventh version, you can find the other commonly occurring types of chords. But they're all based on these three shapes. What I like to do in this video is maybe backtrack and pick up where I should have left off last time in the older videos from a couple years ago, in explaining how you can find the chords you need for the key you're playing in all in one central location. I'm going to call these chord groupings. So what we're going to do is pick a chord shape and find an associated bunch of chords for that key that are all grouped together. So they're conveniently located in one central location, and then each shape that we move to will have its own associated group of chords. I'm going to give you a close-up of the fingerboard. Hopefully, if I can get my camera to cooperate. Computer's not working quite right today for some reason. So we'll use G for the example. Here's the F-shaped G chord. And let me tune a little bit. So we know that that's going to represent the key we're in. So if we're playing in the key of G, we're going to be vamping or rolling or playing licks out of that position. Now the next most logical chord would be probably C, which we often refer to as the 4 chord if you're into classical theory, you know, the natural number system. I'm going to use my ring finger instead of my index, because using my index forces me to move my whole hand down, which I really don't want to do at this point. So I'm just going to drop my ring finger. But you'll notice that there's a physical connection between this F shape and that bar chord, these two fingers. This is true of any F-shaped chord on the neck, which we're going to see in a minute, but we're just using G for the example. The location of these two fingers tells you where your 4 chord is in this group. So nearby this G, this F-shaped chord, is C. Even if you didn't know the whole natural number system, you didn't understand the theory, even if you didn't know that that was a C major chord, if you were vamping along and you hear a change and you guessed that one and it was right, you've done something correct. So, you know, the names are nice and the theory is nice, but can you find the chord that you're hearing? Well, you can if you think about this in a group. So instead of taking this F shape, dragging it all the way up here to find C, which is perfectly okay, you have a nice, convenient location to find C. It's a lot quicker to go from here to here than it is from here to here. And if the song tempo is pretty fast, or you're not that adept at changing shapes all up and down the neck, this is a more convenient way to do it. Now what about the location of, say, D? Because we know G, C, and D constitutes what we call the 1-4-5 chord progression. It's the easiest and most logical kind of progression you'll hear in most songs. Where's the location of my D nearby these other two? I know that's C, that's G. The location of your index finger out of any F-shaped chord gives you the location of one of the notes of what we call the 5 chord, in this case D. So if you see where I'm using my middle finger, that's the same note I would have used to play this G chord. So again, there's always a physical connection between 1, 4, and 5, or G, C, and D. That will allow you to play in, you can call this a box if you wanted. You could draw a box around the fingerboard. So right away I could play simple songs like Boil 'em Cabbage Down. All the way up to very advanced Scruggs songs like Foggy Mountain Special. I hope you like my scatting there. But anyway, you get the picture. So all these great songs that we know and love in the key of G would have G, C, and D. So instead of jumping all over the neck using the same shape or going up here and switching to this G, always moving around the neck, you can stay in one spot and conveniently find 1, 4, and 5. So let's move to the next location on the fingerboard, and I might have to reorient my camera here to stay in the shot. There we go. So let's leave this grouping and let's go to the next G chord because we're using G for the example. Here's G using the D shape. So remember I said there's always a physical link between the 1, the 4, and the 5, or the G and C and D. In this case, this is my G chord. The second string at the 8th fret is the note that would begin this C major chord using the F shape. So you see what's happened here. Now we're using D shape and we'll use the F shape to link to the next chord. Before it was the F shape and the bar chord was C. Now it's the D shape to the F shape, and they're physically linked together in one convenient location. So this grouping would have the 1 chord here. This note is the location of the C major, what we call the 4 chord. I'll go back to 1. Now where would my 5 chord be? Remember, they're always physically linked. Hey, the 3rd string at 7, which is already in this G chord, see I'm already holding that note, tells you the location of your 5 chord. And this time the bar chord is the last chord in the song, D. So you see what's happening. We only have 3 shapes, and there's only 3 ways you can scramble the shapes. So here's my 1, my 4, my 1, here's bowling cabbage down. So we have a new way to play the same 3 chords, and again it keeps you from having to always jump around, which there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes it's a little more friendly, especially at higher tempos or when you're playing real complicated passages, to stay in one area and work that area to death. I like to say, get everything you can out of that one area. So don't jump around the neck just because that's the only way you know how to play different chords. Try to find them in a group. Alright, let's go to the 3rd group. There's only 3 shapes. There's only 3 ways to scramble the shapes, so guess what? This is the last of the chord groupings. Now this is the key I'm in. This is G. G has become the bar chord. And remember, they're always physically linked. So where would I link my C major chord? The 3rd string, which is under my finger. So I'm going to lift my index finger up, put it on the 3rd string, and branch out from there and make a C major. So G and C will be physically linked by the 3rd string out of this shape. Here's my bar, there's the 3rd, ta-da, back to G. Now, D, which is my 5 chord, should be physically linked to this bar chord. The 1st and 4th strings in this bar chord is the same location as these 2 lead fingers in my D shape. So I started with a bar as my G, C was this, a D shape, and the F shape chord that I used to represent D would live right on top of this. Now, since there are only 3 shapes, and there are only 3 ways to arrange them, everything that happens above this will just repeat. So here's the F-shaped grouping again. 1, remember this is the location of the bar C, G, and the index finger always tells you where to locate the D. Now we're using this for G as an example, right? Well, this is what's so great about chord shapes and getting familiar with them. Let's go back to G. This is the original group. Here's the 1, the 4, the 5. If you don't like calling that, you can just say, here's the key I'm in, here's the next most logical chord, here's probably the last chord in the song. Either way you want to think about it, it's all good. I'm going to show you how to use this to find every 1, 4, 5 on the neck, all 12 major keys. I'm going to slide this up 1 fret. Ooh, what happened? that's now G sharp or A flat, whichever key you want to call it. I'm going to use this system to locate the 1, the 4, the 5, or the first, second, and third chords that are most logically occurring in this key. And I don't even need to know the theory or the names of the chords or anything to do it. I'll just go, here's the key I'm in. That's probably the next chord. And this is probably the last chord. So I have A flat, D flat, E flat, back to A flat. If I want to call this a sharp key, G sharp, I can say G sharp, C sharp, D sharp, back to G sharp. I can randomly place this F-shaped chord anywhere on the neck. I'm going to put it here. What chord is that? It's B major. B is in Bob. So let me see if I can find the 3 most commonly occurring chords in the key of B using this diagram here. This is going to be my grouping. There's 1, there's 4, here's 5. So you can literally go anywhere on the neck with this movable template. You can call it a grouping, you can call it anything you want. But what it is a way to associate the chords that you're using all the time in the song. We'll call these naturally occurring chords, which we'll talk about next time in the next video. But for now, see, instead of trying to locate G's like this and C's like this, which is a good thing to do, instead of locating them one shape after the other, G, 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 C, 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 try now to add to your practice routine, and it will really be beneficial, is to say, okay, I'm going to locate one shape, G, and find C and D lurking nearby. And remember, they're always physically linked together in what we're calling a chord grouping. So next time we'll look at some other naturally occurring chords in, say, the key of G, and how to locate those in and nearby this same grouping. So what we're going to do is expand our box on the fingerboard, expand our group to make it larger, but at the center of each group is going to be one of the chord shapes that you know. And this will allow you to find all 7 chords that you're hearing most of the times, what I'll call naturally occurring chords, and we'll talk more about that next time. But have fun, and I hope this is helpful. We'll see you next time. Thanks.